Hello everybody out there in streaming land. This is Jack, the Fat Cyclist, cycling my way thinner, enjoying life, doing rides, getting out and doing camping, and reviewing the equipment that I use and all that. Happy Solstice to everyone. Longest day of the year coming up this weekend. Hope everyone is doing well, getting out there enjoying the absolutely spectacular weather. If you have spectacular weather where you are right now. So, this weekend was going to be a major milestone for me. It was going to be the kickoff of the Palm Pedal Across Lower Michigan 6-day ride from the west side of the state to the east side. But due to the virus hysteria, that got postponed to next year. But I wasn't going to let that stop me from having a good time. I had the time off from work, so I'm going to get out and do as much cycling as I can and just basically have some fun. To that end, I'm currently 45 miles in and just a few miles away from my campground for this evening. Not the best route, I have to say. I had a lot of gravelly farm roads. Some that were far worse than this. But I survived! So the Dalmac that I also signed up for, that was to be happening in September, that's also been canceled. My registration for both rides has been pushed to next year's rides, so I'm all set up and registered for doing that. And I'll probably be in better shape for doing it by then anyways. But when it comes to the Dalmac, I'm going a step further on that, and I'm going to do a MyMac. It's going to be my ride to Mackinac. And I've got routes laid out for 5 or 6 days up, 5 or 6 days back. Make a 10 to 12 day round trip up to Mackinac and back down here. Since the American Diabetes Association Tour de Cure ride was scheduled to happen on August 30th and has also been altered so that it is no longer an in-person event. It is a virtual ride, officially declaring that my Tour de Cure ride will be my MyMac ride. And the first day of my MyMac will be on August 30th. It's definitely a bigger challenge that I set for myself because it's a self-supported ride now instead of being able to have my gear trucked along from campsite to campsite. I've got to carry everything with me. But I am very well equipped for doing that. Now I got a special treat as well, because there is something specific that I had in mind when I set out on this 46-mile trek today. And that is the Wadhams to Avoca Trail and the Trestle Bridge. That's a few minutes of a beautiful view. You can make the many hours of torturous pain completely worth it. See you at camp. Okay, well, I have landed. I've recuperated and gotten camp set up. Had myself some freeze-dried beef stew. Decent enough. It's calories. It is beautiful here. You couldn't get much better. We've got the rustic campground area is virtually deserted. There's one other person here. And I looked out and managed to get a spot that had grass and tree coverage. So, comfortable ground and good shade. Just over there, over the rise, is a river. Pretty mucky and brown, but it's a river to sit by. Worried for a little bit that I wasn't going to make it with the cramps that my legs were putting out at me. The extra weight on the trike definitely makes a difference on that. It's so quiet. Nice and peaceful. Get away from everything for a day or two. It's important to do every once in a while. You need to remember that. Whiskey. If I'm going to bring alcohol, I might as well bring the strong stuff. So since I got it all set up here, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a review of the tent that I brought with me. We've got the Alps Mountaineering Mystique 1.5. So a little bit bigger than a one-person tent, a little bit smaller than a two-person. Gives it that sweet spot where it's got some space in it so you don't feel cramped, but not quite enough for two. You notice sizable vestibules on both sides, doors on both sides as well. And in here I've got my climate pad and hammock gear quilt. So easy enough to get inside and really quite spacious in here at the same time. It's got enough space that I'm able to just barely sit up in here. And my head's touching the peak when I do this, but you know, you're not going to be sitting up in the tent too much. It's meant for lying down. And for that, with my feet sitting upright, I'm able to touch them against the foot of the foot wall and still have about a foot of space until I reach the head. So ideally we pull back about 6 inches. And I'm not really touching anything. Now, I will say it is a little on the cramped side at the feet. And you see my feet are touching the wall here. but there's a huge amount of space inside of this. So I can keep some of my more sensitive gear inside the tent with me. I can set the panniers in the vestibule area so that they're out of sight. And I'm able to sleep quite nicely here. So something else to show here. You can always wonder when you're sleeping in a populated campground, how do you keep someone from nicking off with your bike? Now these are 2 spiral tie-outs meant for dogs. And I have them inserted into the ground at 2 separate angles. And then a heavy-duty D-lock into the handles of those stakes and around the frame of the trike. And what that does is it's going to be pretty much impossible for someone to make off with this trike without waking me up. So you're not just spinning the bike to get it out, you're not going to pull it out, especially not without waking someone up. So I can sleep soundly knowing my trike is safe. It's just going to be me and myself for the night. Everyone be safe out there. I'll do some more footage in the morning and on the ride back home. Don't let anything stop you from enjoying life. Get out there and have fun. Jayo. Good morning. A few more people arrived as the evening wore on, so my update's a little bit on the quieter side, and just a quick good morning here. I am almost completely packed up and about to hit the road and head back home. Anyway, proper volume good morning now. I am on the road. It is a slightly cool but excellent morning for a very long ride. It can be helpful to get out before the sun has much impact. The more riding time I get in this nice, cool, early dawn time frame is better. And I slip out of camp before anyone else wakes up. Not a very eventful ride ahead, just heading back down the same way I came pretty much. Well, my navigation's taking me a little bit of a different route. Speaking of navigation, this is my clever method of keeping everything together. I've got my Garmin and a Unihertz Atom ultra small, waterproof, shockproof cell phone. You know, part of me can understand cycling navigation taking you on the lesser roads to avoid traffic. But endless miles of gravel that I can't get a decent speed on is not my idea of a fun time. I'm actually quite comfortable sharing the road with traffic. Just give me the regular roads. And see, this is better. It may be a busy road, but I could actually get some decent speed on this nice hard shoulder. Even give me enough space away from the rumble strip that I'm not hitting it. This is a good cycling way. I go from averaging 8 miles an hour to 18 miles an hour. I just have to deal with that. Most of them are giving me the right amount of space. And usually I can tell the ones that do because they hit the rumble strip that's in the middle of the street. A little narrow margins, but it works. See, there are the rumble strips. Onwards I go.